Now, what about Princess Beatrice and Eugenie? They've, of course, fled the UK and are reportedly barely holding it together, Josh.
Yes, that's right. Both of them have fled the UK. Princess Beatrice, I think she's been spotted with a business economic initiative in Saudi Arabia. So, and actually, Princess Beatrice has been smiling for the pictures. Of course, Beatrice and Eugenie will both actually carry on. They will still hold their both their princess titles and their York titles as well. So actually they're very different from Prince Andrew and of course his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson, who is understood now. I originally predicted that she would stay with Prince Andrew. Now she's reportedly been telling sources close to her and friends that actually she's making alternative arrangements. I think when Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson were living in that 30-room, that expansive royal lodge residence on the Grand Windsor estate, you know, they had separate areas. There was enough space to keep their distance. Now, with Prince Andrew probably going to be moving into a much smaller, probably more sparse accommodation on the Sandringham estate, that separation, even though that they've been living together since their divorce, it's going to be a very different existence. But Princess Beatrice and Eugenie, you know, it must be so tough for them, because notwithstanding the fact that Prince Andrew still denies all allegations of wrongdoing, Princess Beatrice and Eugenie are completely innocent. They've had absolutely nothing to do with it. They have no responsibilities over their parents. They're just trying to get on with their lives, their own careers, while still maintaining some sort of connection with the royal family to appear on certain public events when required. This must be deeply embarrassing for them. So, and whilst actually Princess Eugenie is actually on a girls' weekend in Paris, trying to let her hair down, you know, both of them, I think they're just trying to carry on with their lives, whilst, you know, it must be deeply embarrassing for the princesses, for their parents to be engulfed in huge scandal.
Now, Prince William and Princess Catherine have reportedly moved into their new Forest Lodge home in Windsor with their 3 children, which means they'll be closer to Andrew ahead of his departure. Also, Josh, Prince William and Princess Catherine have also reportedly thrown a party for the workmen who helped them move into Forest Lodge sooner than expected. Is that right? Also reports that they're very keen for a bit of a fresh start.
Absolutely, they're keen for a fresh start. So you might remember that in 2022, they moved into Adelaide Cottage, a 4-bedroom residence on the Windsor Castle estate, a much smaller residence than Royal Lodge. Of course, they still have Amner Hall, their huge country home, and their official London residence is still Apartment 1A in Kensington Palace. However, of course, with Princess Catherine's cancer diagnosis and getting over that, undertaking the preventative chemotherapy treatment, they're now moving into their forever home. Now, the Prince and Princess of Wales were meant to move in to Forest Lodge after Christmas. However, they brought their plans forward, and actually they've spent the school half term settling into their new home with their 3 children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. And yes, they did, as a gesture of thank you to the workmen who were working around the clock to try and get them in early. They moved their plans forward. They threw, as reports suggested, a thank you party for the workmen at the private members York Club pub, which is a members only pub specifically for the residents and employees of the Crown Estate in Windsor. So this was a real nice gesture of thank you after bringing their plans forward. Workmen working around the clock, wanting to get them into what's been deemed by sources close to the Prince and Princess of Wales as their forever home. Now, this is an 8-bedroom mansion, Grade 2 listed, built in the 18th century, very different from Adelaide Cottage, which is far smaller than their new Forest Lodge.
And Prince William has arrived in Rio de Janeiro to mark year 5 of his Earthshot Prize. It's arguably the most important week of the year for the future king. And Prince Harry, he's announced a trip to Canada to meet with veterans, members of the armed forces, community and military charities. Yet it's interesting, Josh, this was announced just minutes after Prince William kicked off his stay in Rio de Janeiro for the welcome ceremony. What do you make of the timing here?
Yes, but it's very suspicious timing. Let's just say Harry has a little bit of a history with this. So for the second Earthshot Prize, we're in Boston. When that was going on, Harry and Meghan, of course, dropped the trailer for their Netflix documentary reality series. For the third Earthshot Prize in Singapore, Harry delivered a keynote message at the Stand Up for Heroes benefit. At the fourth Earthshot Prize in Cape Town, Harry then made a rare appearance at the Tillman Honours Gala in Chicago. So Harry has a bit of history when it comes to trying to, quote unquote, maybe overshadow his brother, trying to draw attention away because, of course, the Earthshot Prize is combating climate change. This is something that Prince William is so passionate about. And after this, he's going to be attending the COP30 conference alongside the British Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer. Now, what is very interesting, so this tour that Harry's announced, it's going to be a big tour of Toronto in Canada. He's going to meet veterans, members of the armed forces, military charities. Now, his spokesperson has said that this visit is 2 months in the making, in the planning, and it marks obviously a big return to the city since the Invictus Games were held there back in 2017. Now, what his spokesperson has also said, they did actually comment on the exact timing of this announcement, saying that this was quote unquote unavoidable due to Harry being stripped of his security, claiming that the period of time in which Harry and Meghan can release details of their events is much more truncated than it is for the King and Prince William. And what the spokesperson also said, which was actually, I think revealing to a certain extent, was that they said that they did inform Royal Communications before the announcement was released as a quote-unquote courtesy to the Royal Communications team. So this means that maybe there's some sort of, at least very much, channels of communication are open between Prince Harry's communications team and Royal Communications team. However, I think we have to treat this, I don't want to say suspiciously, but again, his spokesperson kind of emphasizing going back to the security point, going back to the fact that Prince Harry was stripped of his security, kind of the undertones of that message, or kind of feel like, well, we were forced to do this because of the security. Again, kind of the undertones of Prince Harry maybe feeling a little bit hard done by. But it's exactly as you said, Earthshot Prize is the biggest cause possibly for the Prince of Wales. And this is one of his biggest events of the year, his biggest annual event. You know, he's going abroad and he's been greeted by enthusiastic crowds at the iconic Sugarloaf Mountain at the launch of this huge worldwide event. He's trying to set a massive precedent. And yet Prince Harry providing a distraction to that. And I don't think that's going to go down necessarily well in royal circles.
Josh Rom, royal commentator, thank you so much for your time. Brilliant to speak with you.
Thank you so much, Gabriella.